Need a new idea for a first course? How about my onion soup with blue cheese, served in a hollowed out pumpkin? Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Celebrate TV. I'm your host, Peter Lee. You can tell by looking around my kitchen that it's Halloween here at LG Manor, and Halloween is my most favorite day of the year. Actually, the whole season is my favorite time of year. I just love all the spookiness and all the fun. Today we're going to be making a whole cauldron full of a very easy onion soup with blue cheese. That's the difference. You think onion soup with the crust of bread and the gooey cheese. Mine's a little different. Let's get cooking. I have my nice big pot here heating already on a low heat. I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil to the bottom of the pan. Just enough to kind of coat the pan. I have here 3 pounds of onions that I just chopped up roughly. I just will show you how I did them on this last part. This is such an easy soup. You don't have to have perfect knife skills. You can cut them chunky because they're all going to cook down and get very soft and wonderful. Now these are just plain yellow onions. You can use yellow onions or white onions, whatever you find. I would stay away from red onions and Vidalias because they're both a little sweeter than these normal onions. Okay, into the pot. Simple. Little salt and pepper. And then, something odd, a little pinch of sugar, just a pinch. This isn't going to make it sweet, but it's going to help the onions caramelize. The salt will pull the water out, but they have a natural sugar, and this will help it. Let's give this a quick stir. To get them down in the oil. Then I'm going to put the cover on. That's going to also help them caramelize and turn brown. This will take maybe 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how high your heat is. The darker you cook your onions, the darker the soup. I like them kind of dark, but not so much as it's burned. So you want to check these every 3 or 4 minutes and give them a stir, and then just let them cook down. It's been about 15 minutes. I've been stirring my onions. Let's check them out. Beautiful. Exactly where I want them. They're dark golden brown, not too dark, but they are smelling wonderful. We put this down. Now we're going to add our stock and a few other things. First, I'm going to add a little bit of wine. Again, I love these little bottles for this exact reason. And as always, when you're cooking with wine or beer or anything else, make sure that it's something that you would drink. If you're not going to drink a glass of it, you don't want to cook with it. We'll just pour this right in. And now my stock. I have about 5 cups of stock here. This is beef stock. Right in. You can use chicken or vegetable stock if you want to go vegetarian. I'm using beef because it's just going to be a little richer and it's going to keep that dark color that we're used to having with onion soup. Alrighty. Now I'm not going to add any salt and pepper at this point because my stock has plenty of salt and pepper in it. If you were using low sodium stock, then you would want to add some more at this point. I'm also going to add a few sprigs of thyme, just like that, and we can just fish these out at the end. Okay, now lid goes back on. We're going to bring this up to a boil and then reduce it down to a simmer and then let it simmer down for about 30 minutes. Well, it's been 30 minutes, and so I think our soup is ready. Let's take a look. That smells heavenly. Which might not be too good for Halloween, but it's really good. Put this down. At this point, we'll do a quick taste just for seasoning, just to see if it needs any salt or pepper. I think we need just a little more pepper. Okay. Now we're getting ready to plate. First, I see, well, the thyme stems are in here somewhere, and if I see them, I'll fish them out. And you want to look for them when you're serving because you don't want your guests to get a spoonful of thyme. How are we going to plate this? I have in front of me a pumpkin and 2 acorn squash. This is just a little baby mini pumpkin that I have hollowed out like a jack-o'-lantern, but I didn't carve the face in it. And I did the same with these acorn squash. Now, we're going to use the pumpkin because it's Halloween. If you can't find these, or if it's not Halloween time, you can always find the acorn squash, green or white or whatever color. But now for the best part, before we even plate. I have about 4 ounces of blue cheese that I'm going to crumble in right now before we serve. You can use any type of blue cheese. You can use Stilton. This is a Danish blue. You can use whatever you like and whatever you can get. And for this amount, like I say, about 4, maybe 5 ounces is good. Just crumble it in. I think I want just a little bit more. Okay. And we're just going to give that a stir, and it's going to start to melt into the soup. This adds such a wonderful, wonderful richness and flavor that just can't be described. And it's so different than a normal French onion soup where you have the crouton and the big gloppy delicious cheese on top. This will be all through it. So it's just that simple, and now we're ready to serve. I'm going to just ladle this into the pumpkin. And we want to do this maybe 5 minutes before you're going to sit down to eat. And the reason is this piping hot soup going into this pumpkin is going to start to cook the inside of the pumpkin a little bit, so that when your guests finally sit down, they get this brilliant, rich onion soup and just that extra little hint from the pumpkin or the squash, whatever you use. And it doesn't taste like necessarily like pumpkin, but there's just that extra flavor. Okay, that looks about good. Now I'll put the little lid on, and then we'll go sit down and taste. Here we are about to taste. Now at our Halloween dinner party, this is how we start every year, with these little pumpkins filled with onion soup, which we call swamp water, of course. Now, it's a great little tradition. I have next to me a little watercress I'm going to toss in just now, just to gild the lily a bit. If you can't find watercress, you could use arugula, or you could leave it out. Now look at that. Beautiful. Just a little bit of that. Now this hot soup is cooking the inside of this pumpkin just a little bit. That's wonderful. It's rich. The blue cheese makes it a little salty. And that watercress just adds that extra little pepper kick you like. This is just a fantastic way to start a cold evening. Okay. Now, a little bit of wine first to wash this down. Now, you're probably wondering, what do I do with all these pumpkins or squash afterwards? Here's a great tip. Don't throw them out. Wrap them up, put them in the fridge overnight. The next day, just chop them up, roast them at 400 degrees until they're all soft and caramelized, and you will have the most fantastic oniony, fall-flavored, sweet squash-flavored side dish that you can imagine. Okay, as always, we're going to put the recipe in the video description section as well as links to any of the products that we've talked about. Now everyone, ask us questions. We love hearing from you. Tell us what you think in the comments section. So, would you serve this at your Halloween dinner party? Or what other event would you use this soup for? Now guys, remember, hit the like button so that everyone knows that you enjoyed this episode. And so that you don't miss a single episode of Let's Celebrate TV, subscribe. And as always, check out the rest of our videos anytime you want at youtube.com/Let's Celebrate TV. That's all the time we have for today. I'm your host, Peter Lee. Happy Halloween. Cheers.